Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, John Lobb, and today it's my big pleasure to have with us Mary Nolan Brown, author of Picketing the President, Delia's Dilemma, a story that was actually inspired by her great grandmother and her great grandmother's involvement in the suffrage movement. Mary, welcome back. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you.
And for those who haven't met you before, can you just let us know a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write the book, Picketing the President?
Just accidentally finding out about my great grandmother from an aunt and looking into the women's movement and to the involvement of what all these women went through in nonviolent movement, which is so different from what's going on today. But they were very determined and hung in there until they finally were able to pass the amendment.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what an inspiring finding to learn that your own great grandmother was involved in the movement.
Yes, very definitely. It piqued my interest in all that was going on.
I understand the book is being republished this month. Can you share a little bit about that?
And yes, it is. We've done a new cover that I'm very pleased with, and it really sets the scene with grandmother, and the fictitious granddaughter Delia. And in the story, the hat that grandmother wears has a feather in it, and it's very symbolic for Delia. And we have the hat with the feather, and also grandmother is lame, and she's holding a cane, which indicates her condition. She was in her 70s when she was doing all of this, which I just can't imagine taking off in that day and time, particularly, and setting off on such a journey and such a mission, really.
Absolutely. Boy, to take that on in your 70s, no less. Inspiring indeed.
Yes, yes, she was, I believe, a very strong character.
No doubt. And to find out that that was your own great grandmother, how wonderful. What a wonderful family legacy that you have.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
And you're definitely right. Compared to these days, to have nonviolent protests and pressure to make changes that must have been even doubly hard back in those days.
I would think because women were expected to stay in their place and not hardly venture outside of the house, much less take off by themselves to go to these different rallies and travel the country working for their rights.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I know the book has gotten great reviews. In fact, it was an award winner. Are there any responses that you've had from readers in particular that have stuck with you? Anyone share maybe how the book touched them or inspired them?
A number of people say that they had learned a lot, that they had enjoyed reading it, but on the other hand, they had become better informed and appreciated more what women had gone through in order for us to casually stroll in and mark our ballot and have no problems.
Indeed. Did you find when we say it's a historical novel, it's really combining the fictitious Delia with real life events in your great grandmother's life? Did you find that was an effective way to tell the story?
I did. I did that. You could bring in different things that you would like to have Delia face and grandmother's perspective from that day and time is so different in many instances than what we deal with today.
Mary, for a viewer who hasn't read the book yet, what would be one thing that you would hope they take away from it? What's the one central message that you want to share?
I think cooperation and working for a worthy goal in a mannerly way, you might say, not with the hate and animosity that seems to permeate so much of what's going on right now.
I understand you're also republishing The Trouble in Texas, a summer adventure.
Yes, it takes place at the end of World War II in Northeast Texas when Matt goes to spend the summer with his grandparents. And after I had written these two books, I began to see similarities in them in that both were at the end of a war, one at the end of World War One, the other World War Two. Both involved grandparents, and it was interesting to see how they worked together to give entirely different types of stories. That, of course, Delia is political and that sort of thing. And with Matt and his grandparents, there are lots of adventures with Texas Rangers and rustlers, and a very strong friendship with a boy there in Northeast Texas, and the involvement with the local young men. And it's sort of a coming of age story in its way, the same as Delia is. So there are similarities, although they're vastly different.
And I understand that, one is a historical novel, and the Texas book is strictly a fiction book, is that right?
It's not strictly fiction, it's based on my husband's experiences growing up in Northeast Texas with
Okay.
the rustlers and the mules and the rabid fox and the whole bit. It really happened, but in a different form.
That's great that you were inspired both by your great-grandmother and by your husband. It's a nice
Mm,
lesson for other writers perhaps who are looking for inspiration or, they say write about what you know, and certainly
yeah,
you know your family better than anyone else could, so
that's true. That's true. It's a good source.
absolutely. Absolutely. What inspired you to write about Texas and that time frame? Was your husband involved in Texas? Is that what led to the
Yes,
setting of Texas and the time frame?
yes, he grew up in Omaha, Texas, which is where this book, where the grandparents live, the fictitious grandparents live. And it takes in a lot of the area events. There's a watermelon festival in July, which still goes on to this day. And the different things that were happening actually happened in the Omaha, Naples, Texas area. So it's sort of a Chamber of Commerce ad for the area. And great people. I take their little newspaper, love getting it every week. And it's like going to a different time zone. Very nice.
Absolutely. And it seems as if the one book is about a very serious subject, women's strive for the right to vote, and the other is more of an adventure story. At the end of the day, they're both about human nature, aren't they? About human beings
They are.
struggling to make a difference in the world.
That's true. That's true.
Why did you decide this was the right time to republish both of your books, Mary?
I think because of the general atmosphere in our country right at the moment, that both are relevant to make sure that we have friendships that cross the age barriers, racial barriers, just a lot of different things that we need to concentrate on what makes us better, not what separates us.
Indeed, a good lesson for all of us. Do you ever wonder what it would be like if you could chat with your great grandmother about her experiences? Wouldn't that be a fascinating discussion to find out what drove her and where did she find the courage to strive for suffrage in her 70s, no less?
Right. Well, some of the research I did on her that she comes from an Irish background, as Nolan would imply. Uh, she was part of her family was part of course, one of the Irish clans, and they were known for their stalwart attitudes and this sort of thing. And I'm sure that part of it is hereditary and just what's expected. And she was not going to take no for an answer. So she
Good
hung
for
in
her.
there
Good for her.
and it did this. She had been a school teacher. She helped to establish a public library in Lawrence, South Carolina, where she was teaching. So she was very civic minded, very involved in wherever she happened to be. So, an interesting person. I would not have crossed her.
No, I don't think I would either. Have you had any, response from readers following the trouble in Texas? Has that book touched folks as well as the first one did?
Yes, yes. I've also heard from some people who live in the area or have lived, and they've been thrilled with what the book contained. And they remember one woman wrote me and she said, I remember when everything happened. And I had based all these incidents on actual incidents, and she remembered all of them.
Wow. That's a
So,
testament to the thoroughness of your research. Obviously, you touched people. If someone takes the time to make the effort to write to you and share that they remember, that's a terrific
yes.
indicator that you really shared something worth getting responses on, so that's wonderful.
Well, I have a blog and I've had some really good responses, and I respond in kind to all of their comments, and I really enjoy hearing from people.
Absolutely. Well, it's terrific that both the books got republished, and is there anything from either book, Mary, that if a reader would maybe just take one thing away from the book or, a lesson for life, so to speak, anything you can share that you would hope people take out of the book?
I think that one thing is that we all, if we look hard enough, we share things in common that at first glance we may think we don't. But if we pause long enough, that there are things that we can cooperate on, although we might not agree on everything, but that it's to everyone's advantage for us to find that one thing we can say, oh, yes, to, and not erect so many fences as opening gates.
Good lesson indeed, especially in this day and age and, in the US right now, so absolutely a
Oh,
good
yes.
lesson. What's next for you, Mary? 3rd book in the works?
Actually, I would like to do a sequel to each of these,
Excellent, excellent.
and it would be fun. So, I'll just see what happens.
Good for you, good for you. Well, I'm sure the folks who have enjoyed the first books, will be eagerly awaiting the sequels as well.
Well, I would hope so. I would hope so.
You anticipate that we'll see more adventures of Delia or potentially new characters joining her?
There will be some new characters joining her. She is going back to where she came from, Amelia Island, Fernandina Beach, Florida. Delia is very loosely patterned after an aunt of mine who was the secretary to a judge. And I think Delia is going to join a law office for the summer after she comes back from Washington, D.C. And the young man that started courting her is in the Army. And at that time in history, the United States was involved in the Philippines. And so Richard is going to be sent to the Philippines, which gets him safely out of the way so she can have another beau show up and she can decide which one appeals to her.
Good for her.
And then with Matt in Texas, there's a character that's going to appear that is patterned after a young man that was in my husband's college, one of his classes. And I spoke to him and asked if I could use him. And he had a bullwhip. And you can imagine with a character with a 25-foot bullwhip coiled around his shoulder, what he could turn into. So we'll see what Ozark does with his bullwhip when Matt goes back to Omaha.
Sounds like there will be adventure no matter what in Texas.
Yes, yes, yes. It will be fun.
Excellent. Mary, it's been an absolute pleasure visiting with you again. I'm so glad that we got to speak again. And exciting news both about republishing of both Picketing the President as well as The Trouble in Texas. And exciting news to hear that there will be sequels on the way. And I hope when the sequels are published, you'll come back and visit with us again.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, we'd love to have you. And just to confirm, both of the books are available on Amazon and everywhere fine books are sold?
That's true.
Terrific. We've been speaking with Mary Nolan Brown. Mary, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Thank you. Good to see you.